Consider four 100 ohm resistors connected in parallel. We wish to find out what is the total resistance of these four 100 ohm resistors that are connected in parallel. Now, we can use the formula RT is equal to 1 over 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2 plus 1 over R3 plus 1 over R4, right? So it's R1, R2, so this is R1, R2, R3, R4, right? So that would equal 1 over 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100, and RT would equal 1 over 0.01 plus 0.01 plus 0.01 plus 0.01, and that would equal to 1 over 0.04, and if you put that in the calculator, you're going to get 25 ohms. So we see that the 400 ohm resistors in parallel gives a total resistance of 25 ohms. Now, I will give the proof later on, but by inspection, you might be able to observe that, well, you will be able to observe that 25 is 100 divided by 4, right? So we have 4 resistors, 100 ohm resistors, and they yield 25. So we can guess that to find the value of these 4 resistors in parallel, we simply divide by 4, which is divided by the number of resistors. So in general, to find the value of any number of similar resistors in parallel, we simply divide the value of one of them by the total number of resistors. So we can write that RT for any similar value resistor in parallel is equals to R divided by N. So that's the general formula for N number of resistors of similar value R in parallel. Okay? Now, we can look at this in another way. Instead of going, now that we know that we can work out the value of any number of resistors in parallel by dividing by the number of resistors, we can check this one. For instance, if we have 200 ohm resistors in parallel, the result would be, a matter of fact, let's do it this way. Let's go through the formula for resistors in parallel. Remember, there's a formula for resistors in parallel where we have two resistors in parallel, where we have that R total is equals to R1 by R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So if you have two resistors in parallel, let's say we have two of these resistors in parallel, we will get 100 multiplied by 100 divided by 100 plus 100. If you do the calculation on that, that will yield 50 ohms. Okay? Right? So R1 and R2 in parallel would give 50 ohms. And then R3 and R4 in parallel would also give 50 ohms. Right? And then if we put the two 50 ohm resistors in parallel, so let's write it over here. R1 is similar parallel with R2 is equal to 50 ohms. And R3 in parallel with R4 is also equal to 50 ohms. And if we put the two of these in parallel, we're going to get 50. So if we put, let's write it out longhand. R1 in parallel with R2. And then we put that in parallel with R3 in parallel with R4. What we're going to get, 50 by 50 over 50 plus 50, and that works out to 25 ohms. Right? So we get the same result, right? Doing the long way where we put two resistors, we know the formula for two resistors in parallel. In this case, 100 in parallel with 100 gives 50, 100 in parallel with 100 gives 50. Then you put two 50s in parallel with each other, and you get 25. So, to conclude, the value of any number of similar value resistors in parallel is given by the formula, is given by this formula here. RT is equals to R divided by N.